As hundreds of individuals living with an irregular migratory status in the U.S. await deportation, organizations who support their rights continue to demand a stop to the massive raids conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and that refugee status be granted to the hundreds of thousands who could see an end to their American dream.
Our families that he's deporting right now are not immigrants. They are refugees. And the reason why they are refugees is because the violence and the poverty in El Salvador, in Guatemala, and Honduras.
Congressman Luis Gutierrez joined these protesters outside the White House to emphasize his support for these families and to tell the Obama administration that the U.S. has significant responsibility in creating the conditions that have led these migrants to flee their countries.
The violence that permeates the societies and that has crippled civil society in those countries, we too are responsible. It is guns that come from the United States of America. It is dollars that fuel their economic empire. And it is the insatiable demand for drugs in the United States that cripples those societies. So we have a responsibility too.
Georgia, Texas, and Maryland were the first states to witness these raids, which activists have condemned as violating individuals' rights to due process. One of the biggest concerns among immigrant rights defenders is the lack of understanding of the conditions to which these individuals are being sent back to.
And what we're seeing in some of the administration's actions is a bias, a hemispheric bias, in looking at refugees from our South who are fleeing violence differently than refugees from other parts of the world. And that bias can have devastating effects for individuals who have been deported, many of whom have already been murdered.
Even though the majority of people who have thus far been arrested were single adults, amongst the group being targeted are 60,000 women with their children, as well as unaccompanied minors who entered the country in 2014 seeking asylum and were denied. Thousands of families who are currently in the United States with an irregular migratory status, as well as pro-immigrant rights organizations and their supporters, vowed in front of the White House that they will continue to fight until there is an end to the deportations. They are also asking President Barack Obama to keep the promise that he made in the year 2014 and pass a comprehensive immigration reform. Bianca Perez, Telesur, Washington, D.C.